being honest. Nothing but the truth, yeah. Nothing but the truth, yeah. Honesty, CJ, honesty. CJ, honesty. CJ, honesty. CJ, honesty. Just being honest. Nothing but the truth.
Welcome to another episode of
CJ Honesty. And today we have a special guest. Her name is Dr. Rylie. She is a world-renowned holistic sex therapist, and she has worked with over 100,000 people in almost 20 years, and she specializes in men's prostate health. She has a non-profit prostate cancer prevention awareness foundation that her and her cousin started before he passed from prostate cancer. And she has had articles written about her. There was one in 2015 Penthouse for their men's sexual health edition. And lastly, she has a product called Monkey Milk, which is a personal lube and massage cream.
Yay.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, so
looking to learn a lot, have a lot of info for people out there, you know.
And people don't know our subject though, because we was having a hard time posting it.
Having a hard time posting it on Instagram, promoting and everything for the episode.
Yes.
Because they didn't want it on there. Although it's not necessary, it's not like we was doing porn or something. We're trying to talk about the education part of it, you know, just so everybody can.
But you know, honestly, that's part of the reason why people don't get to be educated on this kind of thing, is because if you can't post on social media and talk about it as being an important topic, people don't know where to turn and they don't know where to go. And then you're supposed to be able to post stuff on the internet, but you know, just stuff as much as being deleted like last night. It's sad because, you know, there's tons of people that could benefit from this information, but we can't even post about it, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It is a shame.
Yeah, we just there are some people like us, all of us, who wants to make an impact and like help people, you know. Yeah. But even when it comes to sex, you know, it's a natural thing. So, you know, it's a shame. But we're here, right? And you want to introduce our topic for today, John?
So we have two things that we're going to talk about today. But let's start with the first thing that we're going to be talking about with Dr. Rylie. I think it's very important because particularly, and especially in the Christian, whether if you're Christian, Jewish, or I believe even Catholics, a lot of them try to, at least not all of them, of course, but some of them try to be virgins until they're married, and they don't watch. Some of them don't watch. We're not supposed to. I guess if you're in that religion, you don't watch pornography and you don't have sex before marriage and everything, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think that can cause some things that you just aren't aware of with sex, that, you know, you find that out with your partner once you get married, you know. But the thing about that is, a lot of, even with Christians, what they don't tell you under the rug is that they have addictions to pornography and everything,
even to sex too.
Or
yeah.
So I think with that, with addictions to pornography comes premature ejaculation. And just for all my Christians out there who are listening right now, because I know, you know, I'm a minister and everything. I don't want anybody getting on here saying like, oh, you talking about sex and everything, but it has to be talked about because, you know, first of all, if we don't talk about it, porn is going to talk about it for you.
Yeah.
So I would rather talk about it in a healthy way where you can actually learn about it You know, I don't want to come from the standpoint of, you know, just don't do it. You know,
Yeah,
for all my
I'm sorry.
for all my Christian people out there, if you're not Christian, of course you're not practicing, you know, not doing that. So this episode is really for everybody. You know, whether you are a non-believer or whether you're a Christian, this episode is for you to get information that you need.
And I was going to say, of course, we all know that a lot of people don't wait till marriage. So
nowadays
we need to, if that's the case, you know, that's the case, we need to share knowledge that can help people and to have, you know, good health and sexual health. That's important.
Yeah.
So
I am my past life with, you know, Dr. Rylie. So I had something in my life where at a young age, things happened to me that necessarily wasn't the impact in my life as a child. And that went into, as my teenager years, watching pornography and everything. And I've come to the point where realizing with certain Christians and everything, and I've been to men's meeting and everything like that. And of course, I don't watch pornography now, but I do realize at the time, and being freed from watching that, I got around some men who were Christians, and they didn't talk about they were scared to talk about, like, this is something that I struggle with, that I don't want to be in anymore. And some of them even was saying that they had a problem with their wife because as a result of being addicted to pornography, physically, the result of that was premature ejaculation. So we just want to start with that. You know, like, what are some of the symptoms and the causes of premature ejaculation? Like, am I right about that? Like, being addicted to pornography, that can be one of the causes for the premature ejaculation?
It definitely can, because porn stimulates the brain more, so your body gets more excited. So, you know, you have a chance of ejaculating more quickly than, say, if you weren't watching something. But typically, premature ejaculation starts when you're much younger from the way that you masturbate. So masturbation is what plays a huge role in the premature ejaculation. But then there's also, as you're speaking about with religion and, you know, the abstinence and all of that, it's crazy because, you know, there are people who do wait to have sex until they get married. However, majority, I mean, I'm talking probably 5% of people start masturbating at a young age. So, you know, even if you're in your 20s and you're waiting until marriage to have sex, you're still probably masturbating, you know. And there's a lot, I know our topic isn't on masturbation today, but I do know that there's a lot of negative towards masturbation as well as negative towards pornography. And, you know, but usually it's masturbation that causes the premature ejaculation.
Okay.
Or getting overly excited from watching porn, you know. And people who are not having sex, who watch porn, definitely get overly excited because that's kind of their only sort of outlet for, you know, any kind of sexual release, if you will.
Yeah, that makes sense. I never thought about it being connected with masturbation in a way. I always was curious. I'm like, why do some men like have this, you know, problem, or, you know, so that's good to know.
I mean, I can tell you, so usually, you know, about 8 or 10, maybe 12 years old, guys or boys, young boys start masturbating. I mean, you know, they start getting erections, and so they start masturbating. And what happens is, and I always say this, usually, at that age, you're with friends, you're with family, or you're in school. So what do? You don't have your own home. So you just go into the bathroom, under the covers, behind a building, or wherever you have to go. And, you're just kind of rubbing it until the erection goes away. You ejaculate. But usually it's only a couple minutes. And then, at a young age, boys start thinking, oh, okay, all I have to do is rub this a few times and then I'm going to be able to ejaculate. So that becomes a pattern of masturbation. But in turn, they're also teaching their body to have premature ejaculation, because as soon as it feels good and they ejaculate, that's what they think it's all about, and at that age, they're not having sex. So they don't need to last, however long you need to last to have sex. So that's kind of what starts that ball rolling on the premature.
So, I have a question. So when it comes to, you say they start young, does that connect to the development as well? Because when you're older, like if you're older, you have more control, or no?
I mean, I don't know about the more. You would think as you get older, and you're in your 20s or even in your teens, you're like, okay, eventually I'm going to have sex, so I don't want to have premature ejaculation.
Yeah.
But even still, you've done it for so long one way that they've trained their bodies, to just think, okay, at that first feeling of it feeling good, it's time to ejaculate. They don't know any different. And so, they don't really think like, oh, when I get to be with a partner and I'm married and I'm having sex, I don't want to last 2 minutes. I want to last 20 minutes. But now they've been doing it one way for so long, they don't really know how to retrain their brain, or even why they would need to, because they've never, had to have sex.
Yeah. So when you say them, basically you're saying like as in their brain is literally trained that way. Like basically like the signal in the brain.
Yep.
Like, okay, as soon as I feel pleasure, it's time to,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because, at 8 or 10 or 12 or even 15, when you start masturbating, you're not thinking about having sex in 10 years or 20 or however long, until you have sex. All you're thinking about is, I have this erection. If I rub it a few times, it feels good. I'll ejaculate and the erection will go away. So, they don't really, it's not like they're not setting themselves up for the future. I mean, they're setting themselves up to have premature ejaculation, but they're not really thinking, oh, I want to be able to last 20 minutes or 40 minutes or an hour when I'm 25, because at 12 or whatever, you're not thinking about that.
Yeah. So how can men overcome their insecurities when it comes to premature ejaculation?
Whew. The thing about premature ejaculation is, I've worked with thousands of people, hundreds, thousands of people who have said, I don't even want to get into a relationship because I already know that I have premature ejaculation. And for men, it's very embarrassing. They don't, especially if you're a guy and you're with a new partner, then, you've already got that excitement of being with somebody like new. And then all of a sudden, in your mind that, you're only going to last 2 or 3 minutes. And so a lot of people will just not even want to get into relationships. And it causes a lot of insecurities in guys, just in a lot of different ways. But really, the only thing that they can do is learn how to retrain their brain, learn how to overcome premature ejaculation, because it's something that if they're not working on it to overcome it, it's never going to change.
What are the steps to retrain their brain?
It's all about masturbation. So basically, they have to learn a whole new way to masturbate in order to tell their body and their brain, you need to last longer. So instead of just, getting the erection, rubbing it a couple times till it feels good and ejaculating, they need to learn how to kind of get close to the ejaculation, back off, get close, back off, and do that a bunch of times, because then you're training your brain and your body to go ahead and last longer. And then it's not going to be triggered at the very, first sign of pleasure. Their brain is not going to be like, well, time to ejaculate, So it's really important that it's kind of like going to the gym. If you want to, get a 6-pack abs or muscles or whatever, you have to train your body. So this is very much the same thing to overcome premature.
So like what you said, with some men even go as far as saying like they don't even want to date.
Yeah.
So that's almost like,
That's sad.
having like social anxiety. So you think like, how do they, how can somebody get healed from that,
Well, let me say this. Okay. So if a guy has premature ejaculation, and I've had people say that they have actually, broken up with their partner because of the premature ejaculation. But I want to say something that I think is super, super important. I mean, we're talking about men and men having the premature ejaculation, but if you're with a partner and he has premature ejaculation, a lot of women and most women either get frustrated, they make them feel bad about it, why aren't you lasting longer, blah, blah, blah. And so depending on how the female acts or their partner acts with them, with the premature ejaculation, is going to have a huge role in how the guy feels about himself. If you have an understanding partner that says, hey, if we try this, maybe we can help you learn to last longer. I'll work on it with you. We'll do it together. That's something. But if the guy has got an angry partner or a partner that makes them feel like they've done something wrong, or, tries to, it's very sad in the part, because I hear that a lot too, my partner was mean about it, or she made me feel bad. Well, that's why guys aren't going to want to get into another relationship. And people break up with people for having premature ejaculation. And that to me is crazy.
Wow, that's a shame.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like people breaking up over premature ejaculation.
Yeah. And a lot of men, I think, not even with premature ejaculation or with sex period, but just with everything in life, men operate. You can give me your opinion on that, Dr. Rylie. Like, men operate on what they're able to do. So if a man is sitting at the table, the first thing they don't know each other, the first thing is that they'll probably talk about is what they do for a living.
Yeah.
So what, who's your favorite basketball, football team?
Yeah, sports.
Who's the winner? Who's the winner and who's the loser? That's how men operate. And so with premature ejaculation, that and you're with your wife, or if you with your partner, that could make a man feel not like a man.
Yeah. Or unwanted.
Unwanted, yeah.
See, the other thing is, guys have, I always joke about it, but it's very true. Guys have like a honey-do list or a have-to-do list. So before a guy is going to be intimate, whether they've just met each other, and they're just starting to have a sexual relationship, or if they've been married for 20, 30, 40 years, every time a guy goes into a sexual setting, he has like this list. He has to get the erection, keep the erection, don't ejaculate too quickly, make sure he changes positions, make sure his partner is happy, make sure, so he's got like this checklist of everything. And then on top of it, even if he had premature ejaculation at 20 years old, he's still going to be thinking about that at 40 years old. That's like, same with erectile dysfunction, I mean, it plays a role. And so, I think for the female or the partner's part of that is to be understanding and to realize, women don't have to get erections. You know what I mean? They don't have premature ejaculation. So if you have a partner that is experiencing premature ejaculation, I feel like if you really love your partner and you really, are wanting to make it work with your partner, and it's not just some kind of a fling or a friends with benefits or whatever, be understanding. I think that's the best thing that women can do. It may be frustrating that they can only last 20 seconds or 5 seconds or 2 or 3 minutes, but no matter what, be understanding, have some compassion. It's not like they set out to do that. Guys don't purposely want to have premature ejaculation.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like the main thing is understanding.
Yeah. And
Definitely.
vice versa. I think women have things with their bodies where they feel insecure about that.
Yeah.
So you have to be aware about that as a man. My body doesn't look like this person on Instagram or social media, things like that. So yeah.
Yes, most definitely.
So do you think can premature ejaculation, can it be controlled or fixed?
Yeah, with the retraining the brain, definitely. You can 100% overcome premature ejaculation, but it takes time. It takes retraining your brain. Guys didn't get that way overnight, so it's not going to change overnight. Like we said, it starts from when they're younger, and that's how they kind of train their brain. So, yeah, most definitely you can get to that point of fixing it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
is that the only way they can do it, right? Just retraining, and that's it.
Yeah, because you've trained your body. They've trained their body one way. Now they need to retrain it. So yeah, and it works. I work with people who have that issue, and it's just all about knowing that it's going to take a little bit of work, but it's worth it.
Right. Yeah, I like what you said. Like, it sounds like, as you were explaining to Dr. Rylie, that it's kind of like being at the gym.
Exactly. Yep.
A lot of people that are overweight, they get upset as far as being on diets and changing their eating habits and going to the gym because they don't see results right away.
Yep.
And you've been eating bad your whole life.
Yep.
And you don't see results in 2 or 3 months. You say, oh, this isn't working, but you've been eating like that for years. So the same amount of time is going to take, for.
Well, I want to say something on that because in today's world, in today's society, anyone under 30, 35, 40 years old, everyone is used to instant results. You don't have to set your DVR to, record a program anymore. You can just go on and watch the whole entire program on a social or a platform. If you want food, you don't even have to go anywhere now. You want groceries, you don't have to go anywhere now. Everyone's used to this right now thing, right? If you want to go shopping, you don't have to make a date to go out to the mall. You just pick up your phone and you can find it on there. So people are in the younger generation, because I'm kind of old, but the younger generation, they're used to immediate results right now. And so that's what you're saying about you didn't eat that way. It took you a while to get that way, which it's going to take a while to retrain your body, and you're not going to see immediate results in a day or a week. You didn't get that way in a day or a week. So, yeah.
Let's go straight to porn addiction.
Porn addiction.
Yeah, boy, let's go straight there, because I know you were saying that so with my Christian, this part probably, go ahead.
Yeah.
Just one more thing before we get off of the premature ejaculation.
Yeah.
The other issue is if you're with a partner and you're in a relationship and you guys are being sexually active, if you're only having sex once or twice a month, or once every couple months, or once every 6 months, whatever it is, the longer that you go without having sex with your partner, the more excited and the more, when you get to finally have sex, the more your body kind of, has like that revved up kind of putting a kid in a candy store sort of reaction. So a lot of people are in relationships, but they're not having sex but once or twice a month or every couple months. And then they're wondering, why am I having premature ejaculation? Well, it's because if you were having more regular sex, once or twice, 3 to 4 times a week is a healthy amount of sex to be having in a relationship with a partner. So if you're only doing that every few months, it's like you're restarting every single time, right? So, the more sex that you have, the better you're going to have the chance of getting over and, overcoming the premature ejaculation. But if you could be working on it as much as you want, but if you're only having sex a couple times, it's just like starting over. So I just want to throw that out there, because the amount of times that you have sex has a lot to do with premature ejaculation as well.
And I got a question before we start with the point of addiction. So there's many reasons for people getting divorces. I think the top ones, if I'm not mistaken, is finances,
sex and money.
Money. So with the sex, now, not to put this on the ladies, but you hear about a lot of people getting divorced with, you hear it's even in movies as well. It's kind of funny.
I know what you're gonna say. You're right on.
They stop having sex with the guy, and the movie is always the same. Either the guy goes out and cheats, and which is go ahead.
Oh my gosh. So you are right on point. I always tell, one of my famous lines is, I think Cosmos sends out like a mental email to women at about 40 years old that says you don't have to have sex anymore. Because I hear every single day, we've been married for 20 years and she stopped having sex. And I mean, I've worked, like you guys said, over 100,000 people. And I mean to tell you, I never, ever hardly hear a guy say, oh, I just didn't want to have sex anymore, but my wife wants to have sex all the time. It's always the female, always, always. And the thing about that is I joke and I say, well, once she has the house, the kids, the car, the money, and the dog, why does she need to have sex anymore? But and it sounds crazy, but it's very true. And the thing is, this is in one of my videos on my YouTube channel. I said, listen, if the female is not putting out and having sex with the male, they will find it somewhere else. And females as well. I mean, actually, statistics show females cheat more than men. So I don't know how, but yes, and it is true that people get divorced all the time. And it's because these women just stop having sex. And the thing, like I say to them, is, listen, when you're married, it's all about a compromise. Or even just if you're in a relationship, it's about a compromise with everything. One person doesn't get to decide, I'm not having sex anymore, sucks to be you, sorry if you don't agree with me, And I mean, but it's true. And so, these guys are like, okay, now wait a second, we were having sex really good for the first 10 years. And now all of a sudden, we're having it once every 6 months or whatever. I mean, if your partner has an illness or something, I could see not maybe being in the mood to have sex, but that's a tool. Women say, oh, you didn't take out the garbage, I'm not having sex with you for a week. And
no.
It's so true. I hear it all the time. And so I'm going to tell you the best advice that I've ever been given. This was probably like maybe 16 or 17 years ago. I saw this couple. They came in. he was 86, she was 82. And he had an enlarged prostate, so she wanted to learn how to do the prostate massage to be able to help him.
Mm-hmm.
But when they came in, they were holding hands. And then when they sat down on the couch, they had their hand on each other. And you could just feel the love just radiating off of them. I mean, it was like the best feeling ever, you know. And I said, how long have you guys been married? And she said, we just celebrated our 65th wedding anniversary. And I said, wow. I mean, that's a very long time, right? So I was like, how do you guys still like each other? You know, because you could tell that they were still in love. And she said, I'm going to tell you the secret to a happy marriage. And I said, okay. She said, we make love 3 days a week and we work on intimacy the other 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay. And they raised 6 boys. So, you know, it's that I tell everyone that's the key to a happy marriage, apparently, you know, but people get divorced. You're absolutely correct, because their partners aren't happy.
Another reason for you hear ladies saying that they slow down on that is because when they say, how can I have time for that when I have children and I also have other responsibilities? How can you expect me to go to work, have children,
make dinner,
well, there is such thing as called quickies.
Well, not only that, but I agree. I definitely agree. And I really feel like I tell everybody, you have to have one night a week where you don't have kids, you don't have electronics, you don't do anything but spend an hour or 2 with that person. And I've heard all kinds of people tell me, well, we're too busy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, you know, society has this lined out, right? You go to school, you graduate, you go to college, you know, you graduate, you meet somebody, you get married, you buy a house, you have a kid, you get a dog, you know, and then boom, in 18 years, the kids move out, or hopefully for most people, the kids move out. And then you guys are looking at each other like, who are you? Like, I've lived with you for all these years, but I don't know who you are. People put their jobs in front of their relationships. And you know, it's supposed to be Christ and then the partners and then the children and then the rest of the world, right? But people don't do that anymore. It's all about money, 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 money. Well, pretty soon you're going to be too old to make all this money, money, money. And then you're just going to be stuck with your partner. And if you guys don't have a solid foundation, you're not going to have a relationship. You know? So my advice is stop worrying about all this money and trying to keep up with the Jones and focus on your relationship, because if you don't have that, you don't have anything. I mean, you could live with the person as a roommate for years, but what's the point in that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I want to ask you something. So going back to how women don't have sex, that the part we were just talking about before this, it's true though that women, as they get older, their sex drive decrease, correct?
Well, typically it's supposed to be the guys is like from about 17 to like 25, and usually the females is like 35 to 40, 45. So why they stop having sex at 40, I don't know, because you're supposed to be about in your prime at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, but then they have kids, and you're right, you know, oh, I don't have time. And listen, there's babysitters, there's family, there's something. If you don't make time for your relationship because you had a kid, I mean, you know, that's a terrible thing.
So what if you're like constantly tired? What's the solution to that? Like, what, physically tired?
Have someone babysit your children for the weekend. Go get a nice, relaxing weekend and come back refreshed. I raised 4 kids, so I know it's not necessarily easy, but you know, it doesn't have to consume your life. I've literally talked to people who, as soon as their wife had a kid, they just stopped having sex altogether because the kid sleeps in the room with them, or you know, and it's like, listen, don't forget who you had the kid with. Hey, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's very crazy. Yeah, it's sad. It really is sad, but
Yeah, I think I hear a lot of people who are married say this just from listening in, and
Mhm.
they're like, "Oh, my child and
Yeah.
and it's like, wait a minute, you guys are married. It's almost like when people get married, they forget who they were
Yeah.
together
Mm-hmm.
before, like you two fell in love with each other before these kids
Yeah.
even came.
And the
Mm-hmm.
kid is a token of love. You guys
Yeah.
made the baby out of love.
Mm-hmm. And you hear them saying, "This is my son, my daughter." Like, wait a minute, that's both of your children, you know. And then particularly women do this, but I don't want to keep putting it on the women, but it's the
It probably is.
particularly the woman.
It's always us, right? It's always us. Huh?
But particularly the women start to do this thing with the children where they put the children before the marriage. And
Spouse. Yep.
that's almost like a recipe for a disaster,
Disaster.
you know,
Yeah.
because
Well,
like you said, once the kids move out, you have to go back to who you two were
Mhm.
Yeah.
when kids wasn't there.
But see, that's what I say.
I disagree with
Whoa.
Disagree?
Yeah, I
Go ahead.
disagree. I gotta wait. Sorry, Dr. Riley wanted to say something because I
No,
want to.
go ahead. Disagree. I
So,
can say this
yeah.
after.
Because the thing is, once you have kids, though, it's not about it's not about you anymore. It's about like someone else, like another whole being you have to take care of. So,
But you had that child with somebody, so you guys together should be right, taking care.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's true though that it's not, but you don't have your own life. Like things are not going to be the same.
Exactly.
It's just not. You know, you get where I'm coming from.
But you can't forget who you are. You can't forget like who you are and what you had. Like sometimes if people are having a bad relationship, they think if they have a kid, it's going to make it all better. Well, that's just, like buy a dog, they think it's going to be better, but you're absolutely correct. You have a child and it's no longer about just you. It's about your child. But in a healthy relationship, it's about mom and dad with the child, raising the child together. It shouldn't be, you have to raise it this way because that's the way I want to, or this way because that's the way I want to. But like I said, the couple that I spoke with, they raised 6 boys and they still managed to have a very healthy, happy. They didn't say everything was beautiful all the time, but the main problem is, here's the bottom line for me. If you don't have a solid foundation with the parents, you're not going to have a good relationship raising a child. Like you have to, the parents have to be solid, right? You guys have to have a good relationship because you certainly don't want the child to see you guys fighting all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And life is a lot better if, you're doing things together, going to church, going shopping, going to the movies, doing whatever you have to do. But at the end of the day, in your guys' bed, it's just the two of you. And when those people get married, they're like this, right? You get married, then you have children and you kind of split off like this. And then the kids are here in the center. And then this is how the whole relationship is with the adults. And then the kids move out and now the couple is here. They're not here because they've had a child in the middle or children. And so now you've got to figure out how to get that back. And the best way to raise children is to make sure that the parents, I don't know the best way. I'm just saying because no parent is perfect. But ideally, if the parents have a good, solid, strong foundation, it's going to make raising children a lot better. But don't ever forget the two of you. The starting, the foundation of that whole family, no matter how many children or pets or whatever, you got to remember the two people that started it.
Yeah. And I can definitely see for my women out there that are listening, I'm not a woman, or so I couldn't be a mother. But
Right.
I do know from being around mothers how women are as mothers. They're very close to their children.
Yes,
Their
of course.
children are their life,
Yeah.
which is how it should be.
That's their
I'm
cubs.
in our belly.
Cubs, yeah.
That you had a life inside of your body
For
Yeah.
9 months.
for 9 months. So
Yeah.
10 technically. 10
Yeah.
guys. You're pregnant for 40 weeks. So pregnant
Oh.
for 40 weeks is 10 months.
It is. Why do you say 9 months?
You go through the whole entire 9 months. That's the thing. You don't stop it like at the beginning of the 9 months. You go through the whole 9 months, and then you start into the 10th when you're 40 weeks.
Oh wow.
Oh, I
Okay.
didn't even
Never
know
knew
that.
Right?
Yeah. Wow, I never
knew that.
They would say 9 months. I just learned
Yeah.
something today. Okay.
Yeah.
That's true
Yeah. You're like,
you-
I was this age when I learned this.
though.
Yeah. Wow. It's took to I was 20. Most people don't know that though.
No,
That's
but I
crazy.
do be seeing women when they're pregnant, they go by the weeks, and they do
Oh, you
say
know
40
what?
is the max.
Yeah.
So I didn't think about
Yeah.
that. I should have known that.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I can't do math.
Wow.
You just finish your 9 month. That's why, because you go through the whole entire 9 months.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh wow.
Okay. So let's go. We got on a tangent, boy, and we're somewhere else.
Yeah.
No, this is hopefully this is helping somebody out there, their relationship, and everything that we're talking about today. Hopefully this is helping
Yeah,
you.
this is well needed.
You
We
know.
need more conversations like this.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I would encourage for my Christian folks that are out there listening, I would encourage you, like, apply this to your marriage, and don't feel like, because you are Christian,
Mm-hmm.
you can't talk about these things. I think it needs to be talked about. It's no sense of being ignorant to something that, and don't think about it in a taboo way. Think about it in a way where, first of all, if you're somebody out there that believes in God, believe that God made sex.
Mhm.
So why not be educated on it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the crazy thing too in that with what you just said,
Mhm.
people go through their whole relationship, whether you're together a year or 50 years. And the crazy thing, they don't know anything about what their partner likes sexually. They don't know their partner sexually. You might have sex all the time, but people don't communicate about it. And people feel like they should be embarrassed or something. They're afraid of what their partner is going to think or say if they say, hey, let's try this, or hey, let's try this. So, it's kind of crazy, but yeah, it's
Whether you Christian, or whether you're somebody out there that's just a regular person, it just you shouldn't be scared to talk to your partner about about what
Open communication.
Yeah,
is
communication.
key.
Yeah, that's one of
that's what usually causes the most divorce, from people not communicating.
Yeah, if you look at, so the reasons for the divorce is finances and sex, but those things can be fixed with communication, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's the main reason. Even with cheating, even with infidelity,
Mm-hmm.
that could have been stopped with communication. I'm sure the person, correct me if I'm wrong, well, if you got a different opinion, Dr. Rylie and Christina,
Yeah.
but when I look at the reasons why men cheat and why women cheat, men are more, it's physical, where he wasn't getting sex from that woman, so he goes out and searches for it. And sex, to some men, to a lot of men, he doesn't have to be in love with a woman to have sex, or he doesn't have to have any emotional attachment. He can just have sex and literally still love. Now, people might disagree with that, but a man can literally have.
Wait, hold on.
No, I'm not. That doesn't mean that cheating is right. I'm not saying.
You're saying that. Wait. Can you rewind that?
I'm not saying that cheating is right when I say this, but I do know that men are not, most of the time, are not emotionally attached to sex. So it's some men that out.
You saying that they can have sex with someone, still love you, in love with you? You put your body out there.
He's saying is men cheat for that immediate satisfaction. Men cheat because they're not getting their sexual needs met. So they don't need to be in love. They can hire somebody, or they can go to a bar or whatever. Whereas women cheat because they're not getting emotionally satisfied from their partner.
Right.
Men cheat because they're not getting sexually satisfied. Women cheat because they're not getting emotionally satisfied. But what he's saying is just in I don't know if it's, guys can go out and cheat and say, but I still love my wife. I'm still in love with my wife. I'm not going to leave my wife just because I went out and had sex. I just needed my initial sexual needs met. And people go, well, how can you go out and cheat on your partner, but you still say that you love them? Because in their mind, they're just needing that sex right at that moment. Then they can go back and act like everything's okay again,
Right. Yeah.
Which all could be fixed just by communicating with your partner and saying, hey, you know what? I'm not feeling like my sexual needs are being fulfilled. We need to speed up and pick up this sexual part. But they're afraid of what their wife or their partner is going to say. So they just think, it's easier to just go out and have some one night and be done. I hear that story all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And guys, for some reason, don't think it's cheating. I mean, they think it's cheating, but they don't see anything wrong with why they're cheating, because they just need their sexual needs met.
Yeah. So I wasn't approving cheating.
Yeah.
That's still not a reason to cheat. I was just saying that it's a fact that that's how men are wired. Is that they can literally hurt you but still love you. Now that don't mean that for women out there that you have to take him back.
That's called being toxic.
Yeah, that's being toxic. But that's not for the women and even men that's listening. I wasn't saying you gotta take him back, but I was just saying that's how men and women are wired different,
Oh, most definitely. Men are very black and white, cut and dry, very simple, and women are very emotional, like this whole, he didn't say he loved me. He didn't say I looked good in this dress, or, he said my butt was big or whatever, where men are just like, listen, just kind of black and white. There's no gray area.
Yeah. I would say like just setting up a scenario on why a woman would cheat. So every day she's coming home to her husband or her partner, right? And he doesn't call her beautiful. He doesn't do things for her, or every time you see him, he's nagging about something, or you guys are arguing about something, and then you go to work every day, and the guy at work is constantly calling you beautiful. He's saying, or he might not be calling you beautiful because he knows you're married, but he might be saying just regular smiling and saying hi all the time and opening up the door.
Affection or attention.
Yeah. And the woman, she will literally be more happy to go to work because women are about how they feel. So this man at work makes me feel good. So I'm more happy with how I am with him. I want to be around him more because again, women are about how they feel. So that's how they get into the cheating. Next thing they know, they're cheating because they're more in tune about their feelings,
Exactly.
Yeah, and that could all be simplified by using communication with your partner. It could all be, it blows my mind with how many people live in a relationship on a daily basis and don't know their partner. It blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. You ask them, oh yeah, we're happy, we're good, we got 3 kids in a house and a blah blah blah. But when I start talking to them and I'm like breaking it down, they're like, oh yeah, no, that we don't have that. We don't have that. And intimacy is very different than sex, you know, and if you don't have that, you don't have a lot. So
So I just want let's go a little bit to the
let's go
being in
into
the porn addiction, you know.
Yeah, I want to ask
I'm
this
looking forward to this.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
So porn. Let's talk about porn. I don't know. I just break out and singing sometimes. I don't know why.
That sounds like the let's talk about sex, baby.
Yeah, you got me. Yep. You got it. Okay, so like, you know, why is there such an unhealthy obsession, you know, with porn? You know, it's like this like negative view on it, and like, is it because it's visually stimulating, or is it something deeper, you think?
Okay. I think that it has to do with what we've been talking about. And I'm kind of glad that we sort of opened up and talked about some of the things that probably we weren't planning on talking about, but that led us to talk about, because I feel like it does have a lot to do with porn and the addiction and the reason. So most guys watch porn for stimulation, right? Like people have been all the way back from Hustler and Penthouse and Playboy, you know, when there was no internet, when they just had to buy the magazines, you know, people had stacks of them under their bed, right? That's still porn.
Yeah.
And I feel like it goes with saying that for those couples who don't have a good, healthy sexual relationship or have communication in their relationship, it's easy for people just to turn on the internet and, you know, type in whatever kind of porn they want to watch, right? And it stimulates them. They don't have to have a conversation about anything, and it gets the job done, if you will, you know, for guys when they're masturbating. So is there like an unhealthy obsession?
Yeah.
I think that has to do with their sex life. If they're married to someone who's not having sex with them, they're going to be more inclined to watch porn. But if you have a couple who's having very healthy sex life 2 or 3 times a week, and, you know, they have intimacy and they're showing each other that they love each other, and they're feeling that love, that guy is going to be, he might still watch porn like during masturbation, but he's not watching porn to fulfill what he is missing. So I think that there's that balance. There is a healthy porn and there's unhealthy porn watching. There's both. And, you know, in my line of work, I know that you had your mom on and you guys talked about porn, and from a Christian standpoint, and, you know, from a religious standpoint. And of course, I respected everything that she said. And, you know, what she said made a lot of sense. But then you have the people who don't have that religious background, or you know, or don't have that mind of thinking. And so, you know, is it wrong? There's times when it's wrong. There's times when it's not wrong. There's healthy porn watching and unhealthy porn watching. So, but a lot of it does, if they're in a relationship, a lot of it has to do with what their sex life looks like.
So we know that, okay, so with Christians, they're trying not to watch it at all. But with people who are not Christians, you're not practicing that lifestyle, right? So where is the line for them? Where do they go? Like, how do they know, okay, I'm watching porn? Where's the healthy line and the unhealthy line for them? Where you're saying, okay, this is too much, or this is okay, you know?
When porn takes over your life, when you're watching porn, and when it, just like alcohol or cigarettes or sex addiction or gambling addiction, when porn becomes the center of your life. Like I've heard people say, you know, I watch porn when I'm at work. I put it on my phone or, whatever. And when you're watching porn and you should be working, that's a problem. I've gotten into cabs in New York City, into yellow cabs, and I look up into the front, and in the ashtray, they've got their phone like this, and they got porn on it, and they're not even turning it off. Like, they don't even care. Yeah, they don't even care that they have someone in the back. They just still got porn going.
They don't care about being exposed. They just right there watch it.
They don't care.
Yeah.
And so, I'll be like, hey, you want to turn that off? Only, not that I care. I just want you to pay attention to the road and not run into someone.
Yeah, exactly.
The porn. But, there is a healthy, I use porn to teach people, to teach couples. That's on the healthy side of it. Why do I use it to teach? Because if I have a couple who comes in that is not very sexually experienced, or some of my Jewish clients, who are not supposed to masturbate or have sex prior to marriage, or even they're not even supposed to masturbate after they're married. They're, the Jewish religion, but somebody will come in and say, we're interested in BDSM, or we're interested in this, or we're interested in that. Well, I use porn to teach, to show them, okay, do you like this? Is this what you want to do? No, not so much. Okay, let's go over here and try this. Is this more what you want to do? Yeah, okay. So then that becomes like a learning, it's helping them to learn what they want in their sex life. It doesn't mean that they're watching it apart from each other and they're not having sex. It means they're using it as a tool to better their sex life, but they just need it for ideas, and that's very different than the person that, is up at 2:00 in the morning while his wife's in bed sleeping, and he's, having, spending all night watching porn. And for most people, when porn becomes a really bad addiction, they're no longer satisfied with their partners. Their normal housewife partner that they've been with for a long time, that's not exciting to them anymore. When they only want to watch porn and they're not engaging in sex with their partner anymore, that's a huge problem, So there's extremes of good porn and bad porn, if you will, and people's unrealistic expectations of porn. If you're watching porn and, this guy's and you have premature ejaculation, and you're watching porn and you see this guy going for 45 minutes and you're like, I want to be like him. Please know that it probably took 9 to 12 hours to make that 45-minute scene, and they're splicing it together because, they really didn't go that long at one time, but yeah.
Well, I have to point out to something about porn though. Sometimes, like a lot of porn are unrealistic though. Like I feel like a lot more exaggerating. They exaggerate. It's like, so if you're using that as like as a learning tool, you can't technically go based on that, because in real life it's not going to happen. So if they are if you're using that as a tool, then when they actually do it in person, the whoever needs help, they're going to be like, oh, this is not how it is. And they get disappointed. So how do you this is a question for you, Dr. Rylie. How do you overcome, like, how do you handle that with your clients, where if it doesn't like come across, or it doesn't happen in real life,
because
what they see in the videos?
Right. And I try to find more realistic stuff. Right. So more of maybe the at-home videos of people trying stuff for the first time. I'm not going to put on something that I know is very unrealistic. I'm not going to give these people false hope of being like, oh, we can do this and it's going to look just like this. Like I said, they don't shoot porn all in one setting. You know, it takes them hours to come up with just even short clips of this porn. You know, guys don't go, they can't have sex with 5 different women at one time and last 2 hours. It's just not realistic, you know, unless they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing, maybe drugs or something like that. But even then, it's just not realistic. So I'm not going to give my couples false hope and be like, oh, okay, you know, just go home and try this. It's going to work. So I just look for more realistic porn, if you will. I know that sounds funny, but you know,
because porn, like it's a fantasy. It's a movie. You know, you know what I'm saying. The most of them have like well, obviously I'm telling myself I watch porn, so yeah, I know I've seen certain ones where you know they have storyline. You know, it's not realistic.
Yeah, I think it's for young women. Look, that's not another thing. Women, there's been women that have claimed that they was addicted to it too. So a women have that problem as well. But particularly for the young men that are out there and they start off at a young age watching that, and you see on there, everybody knows you see the pizza man come through the door. And all he's having
a classic. That's a classic.
He's having,
exactly. Or the pool boy with
you know, and then you grow up. And that's not how life, not life, you know. So they grow up with these expectations in their mind or their brain, if you will, on how life works. And that's just not life. Or that's not how women are, you know.
It's just unhealthy. That's an unhealthy way of looking at life when you think about it, the way porn is set up.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah.
So let's just go straight to so we was talking about, I think before, you know, with the ladies not making your men feel bad if he does have premature ejaculation, not putting him down about it. But what if you find out he is addicted, not just watching porn, but like he's addicted to it and he's been hiding it from you? How should she? I know initially she's probably going to react in a, you know, just because she's human, she's going to act in a not so positive way. But in the long run, how should she handle that? Or vice versa, if he finds out that she, you know, how should someone handle that?
I think the first question should be, what is the reason you're watching porn? Are you watching porn because I'm not fulfilling you sexually? How many women do you think are really going to say that sentence? Not very many, right? Women are going to be like, oh, he's sick in the head. He's got some kind of an illness, or, you know, or blah, blah, blah. No, he's more than not is watching it to fulfill something that he's not getting. Now, there's a difference in fantasy porn and realistic porn. You know, if he's watching all this crazy stuff, you know, that normal people wouldn't do, or he knows his partner wouldn't do, that's more of a fantasy porn. But if he's just simply watching 2 people having sex, or 2 people doing oral sex or whatever, and it's nothing outlandishly crazy, it's probably because he's not getting that at home. And so that becomes, and the number one fantasy for men is watching 2 women. So if he's watching porn and 2 women are together, he most likely knows that his wife would never do that for him, right? So he's fulfilling that fantasy by actually watching it. And, you know, you have to, most women are going to go in with guns blazing, like, you're sick, why are you doing this, blah, 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 blah. But really what they should be asking is, why are you doing this? What, you know, is it something that I'm doing? And no one wants to admit that they're wrong, or they're not necessarily wrong, but they're not living up to, you know, the man's standards of what he likes sexually. but if you've got a person that only likes missionary and he's watching porn of someone that's doing doggy style in the reverse cowgirl, well, maybe the simple solution would be, hey, tonight let's try doggy style, But usually it's putting the blame and it's pointing the blame of you're just doing this because you're sick in the head. And that's not always the case.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. I agree. There's always people want to be satisfied in every part of their life, like even of course sex. So just communicate, guys.
Exactly. No, that's true.
Isn't that hard, Dr. Rylie? Is it that hard? Do you've talked to a million of couples?
It's hard.
Communication, right?
So that's the whole thing. It's communication. But here's the thing. If you say to your partner, I don't know how graphic I can get on here, so let me think of something that's not crazy.
Yes, get crazy. No.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say, like, if your partner comes to you, or if you in your mind you're like, okay, this is perfect example, and it's not too X-rated, and no one can get too upset. Okay. If a guy comes to his wife and says, honey, I'd like to try to do the prostate massage tonight because the prostate is the male G-spot. So if a guy is like, oh, I'm intrigued, like I want to learn about that, and they go on, on YouTube, or they go on different channels and they watch someone getting a prostate massage and see how exciting it can be. I mean, it's also healthy, don't get me wrong, but the prostate is also the male G-spot. Now, if this guy thinks that he can just if he's got a wife that, is like missionary, lights off, none of this, none of that, no dirty talk, no nothing, he's not going to sit down at the dinner table and be like, hey, can you please pass the salt? And tonight, can you try to give me the prostate massage? Come on now. It should be that easy, right? Because who else is he going to ask? He should be able to ask his wife. But he's going to be afraid of his wife's reaction. You want to do the prostate massage? That's in the butt. You're sick. What's wrong with you? Well, of course he's not going to say that, So then what happens? He's going to go find someone that would do it for him because he's afraid of embarrassment. He's afraid of his wife's reaction. And the wife, there's another thing. So I always tell guys, like, do you guys use toys during your, they'll say no, but I've seen it on porn where, women use toys. And I'd like to ask my wife to do that, but I don't know how she's going to react. And I'll say, well, here's my favorite thing for Valentine's Day for couples. If one or the other of the partners want to try to introduce toys, but they're afraid of what the partner is going to say, on Valentine's Day, I always say, get a basket and go shopping and buy a couple things that you would like, a couple things you think they would like, put it in a basket and give it to your partner. Don't say a word. Don't say, hey, let's try this. Just give it to your partner. Most women will be like, oh, he wants to use toys, so they'll throw it in the closet or whatever, right? But eventually curiosity will get to them and they'll be like, oh, I wonder that vibrator couldn't be that bad, So then they'll try it. But now if they enjoy it, they're embarrassed to tell their partner that they enjoyed it. Why, people? Why? I don't understand. Why would you be embarrassed?
Between one A and B, see your way out of here. Like who? Unless you tell the person your sexual experiences, I mean, that's on you. People do that, but like whatever you do in the bedroom, so that's you and your partner's business. That's
exactly
like.
But why don't people talk?
I never understand this.
This is what leads to cheating, by not being able to express what you want sexually, and this is what leads to one or the other fulfilling all of their sex fantasies by watching porn because they can't talk to their partner. So yes, some people get addicted to porn because that's the only way they get fully satisfied. But then there's also, if someone's watching so much porn and they're watching unrealistic porn, they're not going to ever be satisfied with their partner. And I think I talked to you guys about this before, but you know, okay, I'll use you guys as an example. Christina, if John, if you're watching blonde California fake tan, blonde big breast, porn, right? You're spending all your time watching this female that's got this and blonde hair, long, and fake spray tan. When you go to have sex with your partner, you're not going to be interested because your brain is going to be thinking of this blonde bimbo with the big boobs and the spray tan, and it's nothing even realistically close to what your partner looks like. Mm-hmm. So, it sounds crazy, but I tell people, try to watch porn that is similar to your partner, or females. If you're watching somebody that looks like The Rock, big muscles and all this, and you've got a normal average guy, when you go to have sex with them, your brain's not going to be turned on. You're not going to get satisfied because you've again trained your brain to think of this other thing, or this other visual.
I have another solution. How about this?
I love your solution, by the way.
If you trust your partner so much and you love them, your foundation, your relationship is strong, right?
Right.
Why don't you just create your own sex videos and y'all watch it together?
Because people won't do that.
Each other.
Still embarrassed to talk to their partners.
You just watch it over and over of yourselves having sex.
You could do that.
Yeah.
You could do all kinds of different porn with your partner, but you know what? People won't do that because they are so afraid to talk to their partner. Like you said, communication is key. People use it. People are embarrassed because, if, like I said about the prostate massage, hey, honey, can you pass the salt? And by the way, tonight I want to do the prostate massage. If your partner goes, that's disgusting, like that's gross, what are you even thinking? You're never going to bring anything up again because of their reaction. Like, why would you? If you're going to get ridiculed and put down for a fantasy or a fetish or a curiosity, why would you want to talk to your partner about it?
Right.
Who wants to think, oh, my partner's weird? You don't want your spouse to think they think I'm weird now because I said this, but.
Yep. And people always say we don't judge each other, but we do judge each other. And people claim they don't, but we do, including within a relationship, we judge our partner.
And who else are you supposed to talk to it about? This is what I say. If you have two people in a relationship and you want to try something with your partner, you can't tell anybody else in the world that because it wouldn't be the same. They're not the person you're having sex with. Mm-hmm. So you have to talk to your partner about it because that's the only realistic thing. That's who you're having sex with. But people don't. They lay in bed at night, they go to sleep, or they get in bed. Oh, I'd love to do X, Y, and Z to my partner, but she only lets me do A, B, and C, so I can't even talk to her about it. Well, part of becoming a couple and being sexual and being adults and having an adult sexual relationship is being able to communicate your wants and your needs and your desires. And both of you are going to have different ones. Mm-hmm. So, that goes back to my hard limits and soft limits. Every couple should have those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
There you go, folks.
Gave us a whole lot of information.
That was a whole lot of information. This is two subjects in one. Yeah. But it went hand in hand. Yeah, they were connected.
Really, it really did. Mm-hmm. We touched on some things that we didn't even, like you said, we didn't even really plan on talking about, and hopefully it'll impact a lot of people. A lot
of stuff is tied together. You know what I mean? Like you can't have one situation without having another situation. Or vice versa. And the whole porn thing. I think I think you asked me, like, if you find that your partner is addicted to this, and what would you say to them? Mm-hmm. Start with is it something that I'm doing? Is it something that I'm not fulfilling? Is there a way that I can fulfill this fantasy for you? Or, is there a way that I can, do this? Or can we watch porn together and learn different things, and then we could try them? Or, so I guess the whole thing would like be more open-minded, and whatever you do not judge and put down your spouse, because it's not going to change the situation. You just can't. You can't. And it goes with like masturbation, which I know we talked a little bit about, but it's just like when people are together as a couple, they think, oh, well, we're having sex, so they're not masturbating anymore. And it's like, that's not true. Even if men are having sex 7 days a week, they should still be masturbating 5 times a week because it's healthy for them. But if their wife finds out that they're masturbating, they're going to be like, what, am I not having enough sex with you? Or am I not good enough for you? Or all these wrong things that they say to men, when masturbation is actually extremely healthy, and especially for men, for their prostate health, but why do they have to hide that from their partner? Same reason they have to hide watching porn, because typically their partner doesn't have an open mind, It's crazy. It's crazy, but there's good and bad to porn,
Yeah. That's the point right there. That's the main point. That's good and it's good and bad. Well, healthy and unhealthy. So
yeah, exactly.
If it's over your life, then that's when it's unhealthy. And
yes. And when you're no longer becoming satisfied with your real life partner because you're so into your porn that you're watching, or you're obsessed with one porn star, or whatever the case.
Oh yeah.
That's a problem. But if you're using it to learn things to do with your partner, that's one thing. But if that becomes more important than your partner, it's a serious problem. Or if it takes over your life, if you're not going to work, or if you're at work watching, or if you're driving a yellow cab in New York, that's a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a problem for the passenger as well.
Yeah. That was a crazy story. Oh,
I got tons of those. Believe me, I could go on for hours about all the crazy stories in my line of work.
So where can people find you? And, where can people find your YouTube channel? What's the name?
My YouTube channel is Real Sex Talk with Dr. Rylie. The podcast that I'm going to be starting is called going to be Real Sex Talk with Dr. Rylie. Instagram and Twitter, Real Sex Talk with Dr. Rylie. And then Monkey Milk, my product line, that's the personal lube and massage cream, is just at www.monkeymilklubes.com, which if you go to any of my social media or whatever, you'll find links to that site. And yeah,
we'll put you in the description. But for those that's on Spotify and Google and Anchor and Apple, how do you spell Rylie? I think it's another
Rylie.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Sex Talk with Dr. Rylie. Rylie.
Yes. Everyone thinks I'm a guy. They're like, oh, you're a guy. I'm like, no.
Oh, wow.
I know, because Rylie is both a girl's name and a guy's name. So
okay. Yeah.
I guess people never know. But and I have Facebook too, but I don't use it a lot because people misunderstand, like people that are not in the United States, they misunderstand when I say Real Sex Talk with Dr. Rylie. That doesn't mean I'm sex talking to people, like, like a 1-900 number chat site, And yeah. And on Facebook, every single day, there's like hundreds of people like, let's talk sex, like, and I'm like, no, that's not.
They think you're a phone girl or something?
Yeah, when it says Real Sex Talk with Dr. Rylie, I'm like, no. Like, we're just talking about real life stuff and, and it's crazy. It's crazy, but you guys pick a topic. We could probably talk about it all the time. Or
Yeah.
for you should probably find out, what your listeners want to hear or want to talk about. Because again, even though we've talked and had this whole entire great, awesome conversation, you have to still remember that there are still people out there that don't know who to turn to. They don't know where to turn. They don't know who to ask questions to. And that's really why I started my YouTube channel, was because, especially for like prostate health, men don't talk about it. They don't sit down to watch football and they're like, hey, how's your prostate? So I learned that, even though a lot of people or everyone eventually at some point have sex in their life, people are just not educated enough about it because, in school, it's like, here's a banana, here's a condom, here's how you put it on. But if you don't do that, don't worry, we have a daycare down the hall, for the high school students. So, they never really had proper sexual education. And so I think that that's why, it's important.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
You guys have a younger crowd, right? You guys have a younger.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So you should ask them like what they want to hear. Ask them for topics or,
Yes, we need more feedback.
Yes.
We need more people to respond.
Definitely.
Yes.
You guys comment
Comment.
comment on YouTube and comment on our Instagram and let us know, what you want us to talk about or what you need more information on. So
yeah, what questions do they have? What answers do you want? And here's the thing, that there's no wrong question in sex. I don't feel like I feel like people should, or where I come from, and especially as a holistic doctor, my standpoint is there's no dumb question. Like if you don't know, if you ask yourself a question and you're like, I don't really know, don't be afraid to ask. Just like there's an answer for it. And if it's going to help you grow in your sex life or in your spiritual life or whatever it is, make sure to ask, because, even though someone might be like, I don't know, there's someone out there that does know, and if I can be of any help, I'll definitely help as much as I can, because people have a lot of questions, people that are young and people that are old that have been married forever. I get them every day. So, yeah.
Wow.
well,
No one talks about sex. No one talks about it.
Yeah. But you know what's interesting? I want to point this out, and I'm going to just leave it at this, that, we don't want to talk about sex and certain things, but yet sex sells. Is that contradictory or what? Contradicting or what?
The idea of sex sells.
Oh, idea. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what is it? Carl's Jr. had that commercial with Paris Hilton washing the car and laying on the car, and it was all to sell a hamburger or something like that. That's the most.
Yeah, I remember that commercial. Yeah.
The taboo part is, at some point in people's lives, everyone's going to have sex, and people go into it not knowing. And I just feel like if they knew, and then of course knew how to communicate it to a partner and understood things more, but yeah, you're right. People don't talk about it, but yet it's all over everywhere to sell car insurance, hamburgers, sports team, everything. The idea of sex, everybody thinks about it. Everybody has fetishes and fantasies, and maybe we should do a talk on that someday. But, everybody has them. People on Instagram, for example, you scroll through Instagram, you're like, oh, that person has a yacht, or that person went to the Caribbean, or that person, people want what they don't have, right? Or they, it's, yeah. So it's kind of crazy.
It is.
It's always there. Always there.
well,
I think we covered a lot of stuff today for people.
We covered a lot today.
That was a lot.
That was a lot. That's a lot to soak in.
Yeah. That's a
But
lot
you
to
know
soak.
what? It's also just like grazing the surface of, people are going to hear this and then they're going to be like, oh, this triggered, and it's going to go. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
interesting.
Yes.
We'll be talking about more in the future. Just you guys, like we said, you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know.
Subscribe, please subscribe.
Right.
Go on your phones right now and subscribe.
Go to right now and hit the subscribe button.
Yes.
Yes.
So, this has been another episode of
CJ Honesty.
Peace.
Yay. Okay, you guys are awesome.
Just being honest, nothing but the truth.